Hey, everybody, it's Natalie McKenzie with The Whole Woman, and it's 6 o'clock here on the East Coast. It makes it Quaran-Tea time. Get ready for today's amazing guest, but we've switched it up just a little bit. We are having wine, because we are talking exquisite cuisine and how to hang in there, eat well, dine in at home. Today's guest, none other than Kim Yvette. Kim's Georgia V, love of travel, passion for food, makes her company aptly named Laughter Travels Gourmet. Make some noise, throw up some hearts, grab that wine, and welcome today's guest, Kim Yvette.
How are you doing? Cheers.
Fabulous. Mm. What are
Yay.
you drinking today? A cab, a Pinot Noir? Tell me something even more exotic. What are you having?
No, I'm keeping it very, very simple today. I am actually drinking a Chilean wine. It's a blend.
A meritage, I'd say.
Exactly.
Very nice. It's Kim. Simple wine wouldn't be good enough. Just Pinot Noir or Cabernet Sauvignon wouldn't be good enough. She's got to throw something in the mix. Well, Kim, it's such a delight to see you. I miss you.
I do too. I feel like it's been way too long.
I know. So let's get everybody caught up with what laughter, travel, and gourmet has been up to, because all those things encompass who you are. And let's get them acquainted with the Kim that we're looking at today. What went into the making of Kim? Tell us a little bit about where you grew up and how tell us about your childhood. What shaped and formed you? What were your experiences that determined who we see today?
Okay, so Kim Mills, Kim Yvette is Laughter Travels Gourmet. I'm a New Jersey and New York hybrid. I grew up in Englewood. My grandmother, my grandparents, all of our family is in the Bronx. So I grew up going between New York and New Jersey. The product of New York City public school system. I graduated from Brooklyn Technical High School, the best high school in New York. To my tech nights. I then went to Vanderbilt University. I majored in human and organizational development. I went to Vanderbilt on a 4-year full tuition scholarship through the Posse program.
I'm sorry, Kim. Through what program?
The Posse program. So students are chosen based on their leadership abilities, academic abilities. When I was in high school, not only was I very active as a youth leader in choir, as well as with workshops in the church, it led me to having these experiences and kind of getting out of my shyness through the church.
Did you say shyness?
Excuse me?
Did you say shyness?
Yes, painfully shy. Painfully.
I can't even imagine that, Kim.
Painfully shy. So, fast forward, Vanderbilt graduated in HOD, Human and Organizational Development, with an emphasis on change management. Excuse me. Graduated. My first job was as an investment assistant for Bankers Trust, which then became Deutsche Bank. I know, right?
Okay, hold on. We're talking to Chef Kim. Yeah. She went to Brooklyn Tech, went to Vanderbilt. She majored in human organizational. What was the other part?
Development. So it's a general business degree. HR. My goal was to go into HR when I graduated college. People said, you know what, Kim, you're a good people person. You should go into HR. And when I graduated college, I could not get a job in HR. So
you end up with finance.
I wound up in finance because my thought process was, let me just get my foot in the door. So Bankers Trust, a very well-known firm. If I get my foot in the door, then maybe I can finagle back into getting into HR. But I've always had a love of food. So from growing up with my grandmother, my grandmother cooked, and we joke. My dad used to say when I used to come home, I'm not grandma, I'm not a short order cook. My grandmother would literally customize, and she made everything for everyone. So on Sundays, my grandmother made 2 meats. You had chicken, it could be fried, it could be baked. You had chicken and maybe another meat on Sundays. So I grew up with a love of food, seeing my grandmother in the kitchen. Her sister, my Aunt Bernice, was known for her potato salad. So I grew up around food. You know, my dad cooks. My brother used to bake my favorite cakes for my birthday. My mom is known for her macaroni and cheese. So food has always been part of my life, and family has been a part of my life. I grew up the child of a black fireman in New York City in the 60s.
Oh, wow.
Right. And my mother was an educator. My mother transitioned from a career in IBM to education because for her, parenting came first. And my brother was younger. So she was like, you know what? This is going to give me the flexibility that I need. And I also watched my mother, pursue her education as well, including like us both graduating when I was in junior high, her with her master's, me from high school. So
Wow.
education and family has always been, and food have always been a part of my life.
Okay, so you're at Bankers Trust with your HR degree.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Tell us quickly, how'd you get from there to here?
So I literally started my career in Nashville because that's where Vanderbilt is.
Mhm.
During the time that I was at the bank, I was very motivated, and I did very well. I was promoted. One of my clients was transitioning from the bank. They wanted me because I've been intimately working on that client's account. They wanted me to come back to New York to transition the account. I do that. I go back to Nashville. The manager that was in New York at the time basically says, "Hey, we have a position open as a manager. You're from here. Why don't we'll reload you back here?" And that's how I came back here to New Jersey
From Nashville.
from Nashville. Fast forward, I'm in finance. I'm a manager. I love my people that I manage, but I hate my job. I realized this is not where I want to be. Money's good. I'm young. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do with this great degree. Fast forward, I have a really good friend who did medical monitoring for the FDA. And she basically said, "Hey, Kim, you could be in pharmaceutical sales." And you figure about 15 years ago, pharmaceutical sales was not as prevalent in terms of what you know now. So
Mhm.
she put me in touch with another one of her friends who was in specialty in pharma. Darlene basically kind of walked me through, this is what the interview looks like. This is what the job is. And I was like, this is something I can do. So I started interviewing with pharma companies, could not get a job because
Oh.
I did not have sales experience. So I did hair care sales for a year in order to get sales experience.
Mm.
Fast forward,
We learn more.
I know, fast forward, I go ahead, I go to an open house. And when I go to this open house, it was my very first pharmaceutical company that I worked for, Boehringer Ingelheim. I was there for over 10 years.
Mm.
So, during the course of that time, I learned presentation skills. I also learned how to win. I learned how to do planning, budgeting, all things that I now do as a chef, right? Because my clients give me a budget to work with. They're like, this is what our budget is. And and so I take that dream and I make it a reality. But I never want anyone that I work with to feel like they've been limited. They should feel like this has been organic, and they should feel like at the end of an event or the end of experience that this was well worth it. I'm so glad I did this. And that's always my goal.
But Kim, here you are in pharma. You have a winning career. You're getting awards.
Yeah.
You're clearly being compensated
Yeah.
nicely, and you're traveling and living the good life.
Yes.
How do we end up Chef Kim?
Because I was that person where someone's having an event, they're like, "Hey Kim, can you make a pan of mac and cheese? Hey Kim, I'm having something." And I started doing that more and more. And I started unofficially catering on the side and cooking. Fast forward, the blessing of pharma is having the ability to have experiences and to travel. I was coming back from the vineyard with some friends, and I literally cried because I had to go back to work.
Mm.
And, fast forward having amazing network, a friendship, sisterhood. My best friend, who we've been friends since we were 7, was like, "You've been cooking on the side. Why don't you go to culinary school?" And my first response was, "I work. I take clients out at night. I'm doing all these additional projects. I can't afford it." And she basically said, "I want you to, before you tell me all the reasons no, figure out how you can." So we had that talk on a Thursday. I researched culinary schools over the weekend. By Tuesday, I had an open house and interview at ICE. And by the end of the week that Friday, I had figured out financial aid and I was enrolled in culinary school before the end of the month.
Okay. You took her up on the challenge.
I did.
So you go to culinary school, you graduate, I see, with honors, because of course you wouldn't just do it the regular way. Why would you do that?
For my parents, for my family, for my village.
You graduate with honors and then you walk away from pharma. Tell us about that process.
Sure, I did it in stages. So I literally knew that I needed to have a certain level of stability and building of my clientele before I could walk away. So I'm still working in pharma. I'm now teaching as an adjunct and I'm running my business. And what finally did it was I was just like, I left during holiday season, which is, if people that know, for chefs, it's one of the busiest times of the season. And I started turning down business from my own business because I still needed to meet numbers, objectives for pharma, for my life, because no matter what you do your best and you give it your all. And I finally was like, it's going to be now or never. And I remember having that conversation with my mother and my dad, and especially my mom was like, you have one life to live. She was like, you have a degree, you have a great career. Why not? Try. The worst that can happen is you go back. And I think just having that level of, confidence of saying, you know what, it's now or never. If I'm going to invest in everyone else, how can I ask people to invest in me if I'm not investing in myself? So I need to invest in myself. So I finally took the leap and I left pharma. So I did that over a course of about a year and a half, almost 2 years. So it wasn't like an immediate leaving.
When did you start Laughter Travels Gourmet, and when did you leave pharma?
So I started Laughter Travels Gourmet. I trademarked the name 5 years ago. So before I knew what Laughter Travels Gourmet was going to be, I knew it was something special, and I wasn't sure where that was going to go. But I knew that there was a seed that was planted. It might have been the faith of a mustard seed, right? But it was planted. And so I've officially been out of pharma now almost 2 years.
Oh, wow. Now, tell me about the name, because I have said that you couldn't have chosen a better name. The first thing anyone sees with you is your laughter. We know how much you love to travel. You're always jetting off someplace. And then you are all about being trained. Tell us about the choice of the name.
Okay, so laughter, most people know me for my laugh. They tell me that it's distinct, so laughter. Travels, I love to travel domestically, internationally. That's how the seed was planted. But I also travel to my clients, whether it's their home, whether it's a destination on their vacation, whether or not it's an event space. I travel to my clients. And gourmet, I'm a foodie. I love good food. I love good food. I love good drink. I love educating myself about food. And I love being able to educate my clients about food so that they can see a different perspective.
So, Kia, I can see from your resume, and I remember in chatting with you over the years, soon after you completed ICE, you were jetting off to France.
Yes.
Tell us about that experience. Why France, and what were you doing?
So ICE, which is where I graduated from culinary school, Institute of Culinary Education, has an ICE in France program. And there's no better way of experiencing cuisine, of technique, of raw materials than actually being engulfed in a culture. So going to culinary school, I am classically French trained, but the chef who leads it is an award-winning pastry chef. So I was just like, no brainer. I want to be there. So I went to Paris, and it was a time for me to really get ingrained in my food, outside of, and it was another way for me to confirm yet again, this is where I needed to be. The kitchen has been the one place in my life where no matter what is going on, it's my refuge. So no matter how crazy life is, when I cook, it calms me. When I cook, I'm allowed to be creative. I'm allowed to just express myself. So ICE in France allowed me to do that.
And you've had other training in other exotic cuisines, I see. Tell us.
Yeah. So last February, I also went to Thailand. I spent time. Thai cuisine right now is in the forefront of flavors. And yet again, especially with Asian cooking, a lot of the flavors and techniques that you get, even though you have a segment of Asian cooking in culinary school, um, being able to yet again have that component where word of mouth training, being, utilizing indigenous ingredients, I'm then able to translate that back to my clients because that's always my goal. How can I take what my clients know in terms of flavors, in terms of ideas, in terms of not being able to quite articulate what they want to convey with their event, with their food, and allow me to be the conduit for them.
Tell me what makes your style and Laughter Travels Gourmet so unique, and why would we choose you? Oh boy, you've got a posse person in the house.
Yes, thank you. What makes Travels Gourmet Chef Kim unique is my food reflects your event. There's thought that's been put into it, and it's your food your way. So I do consultation. I think I walk you through flavors, right? I walk you through based on your event, the time of day, who's going to be in attendance, is there going to be alcohol there? What are some ways that we truly can make this a full engulfing experience for everyone who comes through the door and they remember they've come to your event?
What have you been doing during this very unique time? Because clearly you're not catering parties or special events, etc. But
Right.
tell me, how have you been adapting and adjusting your original model to meet the new times?
Sure. So, as I said, I'm an adjunct professor, adjunct lecturer at LaGuardia Community College.
Mhm.
So I teach culinary arts 1 and 2, and I also teach food and culture. So I'm still teaching remotely my students, and for my private clients and corporate clients, I'm doing virtual cooking classes. So I'm doing customized menu plans for them to experience during this time of quarantine. I'm also looking at what my next stage is in terms of laughter travels, in terms of education, and what those next stages look like.
So, Kim, we've been all food shopping, and I think we're all buying a little more than we need these
Yes,
days. Somehow we seem to think there'll be a ration the day after we leave the grocery store, so let's get 10 times as much as we
correct,
normally buy.
correct.
Um, l- let's see, I've got some Brussels sprouts,
Okay,
fresh corn. Um, I have kale. I love kale.
perfect.
Um, I have some asparagus.
Okay,
I bought all this on Friday last week because I really don't like weekend shopping. So even that was a
okay,
little late. It's getting to be Wednesday.
okay.
I have fish 3 ways in my refrigerator. What am I making with all this that doesn't take all night?
Sure, definitely. So, based on what you're telling me, you're like many other people where you've gotten more than you need. You've gotten some fresh ingredients. So, I want you to do several things. I believe in zero waste and sustainability when it comes to food. So, definitely, I'm seeing a great bowl, right? A bowl is a one pot meal.
Mm.
So, we're going to have you cut up your asparagus, right? I'm going to have you go ahead and cut up your kale. The branches from that kale, you're going to save the branches and you're going to create a vegetable stock because now that's adding some additional flavors, right? You
Mm.
might have several people in your family. One might be vegetarian, vegan, another person might be a meat eater. You're going to create a meal so that with this bowl, through seasonings, fresh herbs, and some laughter travels magic, imagine in your kitchen, you are going to now create a meal that everyone can enjoy. So your foundation is the vegetables. And then if you want to have meat, then you can also add the meat in for that meat eater or not.
You mentioned using the stalks from the kale to create a vegetable stock. So, am I making a soupy dish with these vegetables? Am I sauteing them? What am I
So
doing?
you are doing a great saute. You're doing, and because sauteing is quick, right? When you think of a saute is a quick cooking method. So how you're able to break that down, right, is through the seasonings that you use, through the marinades that you use. That's where by having a virtual cooking class, I'm able to give you a little more about food education and basically saying, okay, chef, this is what I have in my pantry. That also comes in terms of how I do customized nutrition counseling for my clients. I want you to basically feel like you're a part of this conversation so that you have ownership when it comes to your food.
And so I'm the novice baker. I can play around with food, but baking is just not my forte. So if I decide I want to play around with something in the kitchen and I open my pantry, can I hit you up on Instagram and say, hey, Chef Kim, I have ABC in my pantry. Okay, true confessions.
Yeah.
True confessions. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm saying this out loud. So we had a bunch of apples because we always have apples. We juice every day. And my husband loves apple pie. Yeah, you need a drink for this one.
Hold on, I'm getting prepared because I kind of see where this might be going.
So I thought I'd go to the store and buy the pie crust to make him an apple pie.
Okay.
So I came home and I had the graham cracker pie crust.
Okay.
So I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, but how do you get that crusty part on top?
Okay, so that would be the perfect where you would contact Chef Kim, because I do have Chef SOS, right?
Good.
So Chef SOS, Chef Kim would have walked you through and said, okay, you have the graham cracker, you have that graham cracker crust. We are now going to make a tart instead. Right?
There is hope.
There is hope. I'm going to walk you through so that all is not lost. We can make a tart, right? I'm going to help you make a beautiful, beautiful, tasty, savory, not too sweet, because we still believe, we're in quarantine. So we always want to worry about antioxidants. We always want about health, right? So I'm still going to give you what you want in terms of those familiar flavors, but in a healthier way. So
you're good for my ego, Kim, because I really wanted a tart anyway. I really didn't want that.
But if you have a little more time, I'm going to walk you through how to make a very quick pie crust. But that's what Chef SOS is for as well.
All right, contact info, because now you've really got my attention. I think I'm going to, you're going for gold while you're married doing quarantine. You got to it up, got to do something different. So
platinum.
Yeah, there you go. I turn around and I whip out and I go, baby, I made you an apple pie.
So you can reach me via email at laughtertravels@gmail.com. You can also reach me on via social media, on Instagram at Laughter Travels Gourmet, and on Facebook at Laughter Travels Gourmet LLC. So I'm accessible. We could definitely, your food, your way. And I want you to feel like you've been on a culinary adventure on your palate by the time you're finished with one of my meals.
I like that. Okay, so had I thought about it, yesterday being Memorial Day, I get them mixed up because it was Labor Day, so I get it all mixed up. Yesterday was Labor Day.
Yes.
And had I thought about it, I could have SOS you and have you cater barbecue in for us.
Yes.
I'll do that for 4th of July.
Okay. 4th of July coming up. We can create a beautiful menu. We can make that happen.
Awesome. Even if it's just for a small party. I love it.
Exactly. Intimate gatherings is definitely what I love, to bring that point home for you guys.
Awesome. So let's talk about the most first let's talk about your most fun catering experience. Okay. And then I want to hear about the most challenging catering experience.
Oh, I'll start with challenging first, because I always feel like you always meet a challenge first. So my first challenging catering job was actually a destination wedding that I did. I basically had a limited amount of time to put this wedding together, and it was in Florida, and it was the weekend of Thanksgiving. So, just in terms of what really stood out for me in terms of that is a wedding is a monumental event. Mm-hmm. And so no matter what event that I do, especially when it comes to something like a wedding, those are lifelong memories for family and friends. I wanted to make sure that the bride and groom, the family, felt that the food reflected that. And it did not taste like wedding food. It tasted like there was some love that went into it. So that was my most challenging job, right? In terms of
what was your dish, or what was your twist to that? And what was the theme of that wedding? Now you have us thinking about it. Like, tell us a little about the wedding theme and what you did to twist it out.
So I did several things. It was a brunch wedding. So with it being a brunch wedding and the family being Caribbean, the family was Jamaican, I wanted to make sure that a lot of the flavors were reflective of their Jamaican culture. So but it's still a wedding, so we want an elevated version. So for their first hour, I did what's known as a grazing table. So a beautiful way to kind of introduce the guest of, hey, welcome in. You're about to be nourished, your body, your soul, your spirit. This is a time of joy. For example, one of the salmons that I did was with several different types of. I did a Creole, I did a jerk, I did jerk lamb chop. So several different ways where I was able to infuse culture and the family, even one of their family recipes. So the family recipe, I think, was my knock out the park when you're able to execute a recipe that's a jewel, and someone says, "Oh my gosh, this
Yep.
tastes like," that's the best feeling. That's the best
Awesome.
feeling.
And I'm sure they gave you 5 stars for that wedding.
Yes.
Tell us about your most fun. You've got 2 minutes to tell us everything else. So tell us about the most fun um, catering experience you ever had.
So the most fun catering experience I think I have had to date was working with one of my other fellow chefs during an event, and it was a small intimate, and I'll put intimate in quotes. It was about 50 people, and it was one of those where it was my aha moment. It was that moment where I think every chef in life has that event that's their game changer, and knowing that by the end of that event, I knew it was my game changer event. It was the one where I was like, I've hit my stride, and I know there's no place up but even better. And I'm not, and the sky's the limit. So that was my best event.
Other than teaching and nurturing your students, what's your give back? What's your charity of choice? What is it that you do in your giving back? I know philanthropy and serving the community is a big part for you.
Right. So it's interesting. A lot of times I don't necessarily tell everyone some of the things that I do. A lot of times I do stuff on the low, right? I've always been I'm a I've always been a member and active in terms of service. I'm a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. So service has always been a part of my life. For years, I was the chair of our Delta Academy, growth, where I mentored. So I've mentored unofficially a lot of my students. I believe in when you've been blessed to give, you also give back. That's your tax, right? I've been blessed with community parenting. I've been blessed with a village that supports me. It's my role to give back. So I give to Posse. I give to Never Alone Resource Center. Is definitely um, another one of the charities that's here in Bergen County that is dear to my heart. Most of my friends know that if they're doing a charity event, they can usually call Kim and say, "Hey, I'm doing this event," and I'm like, "What do you need me to do? Let's do it."
So, awesome, Chef Kim. We are delighted. Laughter Travels Gourmet LLC. And remember, Chef SOS Instagram, your handle is, tell us,
I'm sorry.
what's your handle on Instagram?
Okay, it's Laughter Travels Gourmet on Instagram.
And where's the best place to SOS you? Is it on Instagram?
On the best place to SOS me is on Instagram because it's a direct line. And once you SOS me, I call you right back and I see you live and I will walk you through everything that you need to do successfully.
I'm holding you to it, Kim, and that apple tart and apple pie are awaiting. Thank you so much, Kim. It's been an absolute pleasure. I look forward to seeing you soon. And 4th of July, I'm looking for my barbecue in a box, especially if we are still quarantined. And I got word from that couple for that wedding, and the bride still says your grazing table brought tears to her eyes. So
Yay! It brings tears to my eyes right now when I think of it. So
awesome. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's been an absolute delight hosting Kim Yvette, which I dearly call her. It's Kim Mills of Laughter Travels Gourmet. It's been an absolute pleasure. We're doing our whiny today. I'm I'm imagining the flavors of all that amazing food you have created. You make the best chartreuse, by the way. I love your grazing tables. So here's to you, Kim.
Cheers.
And
Thank
thank you
you
so
so much. I
much.
love what you're doing.
Thank you, Kim. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Natalie McKenzie, and I am the whole woman. Tomorrow's guest will be Rafael Martinez of MBE Capital. You may have seen him lately on MSNBC or CNBC with Magic Johnson. Tune in tomorrow. If you especially have a small business, you just might be in store to learn how you can get some additional funding. Again, I'm Natalie McKenzie, and I wish you enough life to live, enough joy to give, enough love to share. Good night.
Good night. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim.
Cheers.